If you open your 401k account today and find it down a quarter, if you get a layoff email next week saying AI is 50 times cheaper than you, if your electricity bill goes up 10% next month, and all of this happens for one single reason, the AI bubble bursts. Here in 2026, we're sitting on the biggest capital bomb in human history. 75% of US GDP growth is driven by AI alone. The big seven tech giants are throwing trillions of dollars around in circles, while ordinary Americans only see their account balances going up, not realizing their retirement savings, jobs, and electricity bills are already tied to this bubble. Today we're talking about one thing only: when this bomb goes off, what will happen to your money, your job, and your life, and what you can do right now to protect everything you have. Our last episode on how the AI bubble was inflated is in the description. Check it out if you're interested. Let's start with the core question: how big is this bubble? Big enough to affect every single person.
The US economy today is essentially a single-engine AI plane. Q1 GDP grew 2%, with data centers, servers and GPUs contributing 1.5 percentage points, 75% of total growth. Housing and manufacturing are dragging us down, and consumer spending is only sustained by households draining their savings. 31 trillion Australian dollars economy running almost entirely on an industry that hasn't proven it can make money. This isn't prosperity, it's structural fragility. Even scarier, there are only 7 players in this game. They control 80% of all US AI investment, and they invest in, buy from, and invoice each other. For example, Microsoft gave OpenAI $13 billion, most of it in Azure cloud credits. OpenAI uses those credits to buy Microsoft's computing power, and Microsoft books the transaction as revenue.
Wait a minute, so that's like me giving my wife $100 to buy something from my store, then counting that $100 as profit. Exactly, that's financial closed-loop magic, moving money from the left pocket to the right.
There's an even more insidious scam hidden in depreciation rules. NVIDIA chips become obsolete every 18 months, turning into e-waste almost immediately. But accounting rules allow them to be depreciated over 6 years on a straight-line basis. That's like buying the latest iPhone for $1,000 and telling the bank it will last 6 years, costing only $166 per year. That's exactly what AI giants are doing today, borrowing billions to buy GPUs, then hiding the costs with accounting tricks to create the illusion of explosive growth.
So how will this bubble burst? Will it crash suddenly like 2008 or slowly deflate?
History tells us big bubbles are rarely popped by a single pin, they collapse under their own weight. The most dangerous window in 2026 is the upcoming second half earnings season. When Microsoft, Google and Meta slow their capital expenditure growth, when NVIDIA's revenue guidance misses expectations, the market will suddenly wake up. Those beautiful earnings reports might just be an accounting illusion. We have to remember WorldCom. In 2002, this telecom giant disguised operating expenses as long-term investments, faking $11 billion in profits before collapsing. Today's AI giants are repeating the exact same playbook, just on a scale 10 times larger.
You mentioned there's a second trigger coming from Chinese AI.
That's right, and this fuse is burning faster than anyone expected. It's not about one single company, it's that Chinese AI has taken an open source plus ultra low-cost path that directly undermines the entire business model of US tech giants. The best example is DeepSeek. V3 achieved near GPT-4 performance for just $6 million. V4, released this April, matches GPT 5.5. And in May they announced a permanent 75% price cut for V4 Pro. Now it costs just 87 cents per million output tokens. 1/12 the price of GPT 5.5 and 1/19 the price of Claude Opus. Even more deadly is open source. 9 out of the top 10 most downloaded open source models on Hugging Face are from China. And in February this year, Chinese AI models surpassed US models in global API calls for the first time. US giants spent hundreds of billions trying to build a computing power monopoly to tax the world. But China turned top-tier AI into a commodity and gave it away for free. The entire foundation of this bubble, the idea that computing power is a moat, has completely collapsed.
All right, assuming these triggers go off, what happens next? Let's talk about what this means for ordinary people.
The shock will spread in 3 waves, each deeper and more destructive than the last. First wave, financial market collapse. First comes the financial market shock, the fastest and most direct impact. The Big Seven now make up more than a third of the S&P 500's total market cap. And US households hold $66.5 trillion in stocks directly and indirectly. If the AI bubble causes a 25% market correction, roughly $16 trillion in household wealth will vanish overnight.
$16 trillion is too abstract. Can you put that in terms of an average family, like a typical middle-class household in California making $120,000 to kids, 20 years left on their mortgage?
For that family, a 25% drop in their 401k means their retirement age gets pushed back at least 5 years. And their kids' college fund gets cut in half. This isn't fear-mongering. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, Cisco's stock crashed from $77 to $11. And didn't recover until 2025, trapping an entire generation. Even more dangerous is the bond market. The top 10 tech companies issued $120 billion in debt in 2025, a 167% year-over-year increase. Back in the dot-com crash, most of the money lost was venture capital. Today, the money funding AI comes from the bond market, from your pension fund. When the bubble bursts, those debts won't disappear. They'll turn from growth stories into default risks, and ordinary taxpayers will foot the bill. Second wave, the middle-class job tsunami. The second wave hits the job market, and this is the most devastating blow to American society. Many people have a misconception: if the AI bubble bursts, AI will stop taking jobs. The exact opposite is true. The unemployment wave after the bubble bursts will be 10 times worse than today. And AI will be the final straw that breaks the back of middle-class employment. According to our projections, US AI-related layoffs already hit 108,000 in January 2026. The highest level since 2009. Amazon cut 14,000 jobs, Salesforce cut 4,000 customer service reps, IBM cut 8,000 HR workers. All citing AI efficiency gains. These layoffs are bombs planted during the bubble. Over the past 3 years, companies have already deployed AI tools and redesigned their workflows. When the bubble was intact, they could afford to keep people on for a smooth transition. But when it bursts and the economy tanks, profit pressure becomes unbearable. And they'll immediately replace the remaining workers with the AI they already have to cut costs. This time, AI isn't targeting blue-collar assembly lines, it's targeting the core middle-class jobs. Accountants, junior programmers, analysts, HR, customer service. These are the people who drive 60–80% of all household spending in America.
But can't they just switch to traditional industries, like when programmers went to banks and insurance companies after the dot-com crash?
That's the most desperate part. There are no safe havens this time. The exact reason traditional companies will fire you is, AI is cheaper than you. Banks are laying off tellers and loan officers, law firms are laying off junior associates, hospitals are laying off radiologists, even schools are using AI to grade papers. Of course, jobs that require complex human interaction, on-the-ground judgment and emotional intelligence, like emergency room doctors, preschool teachers, trial lawyers, will actually become more valuable. AI can process paperwork, but it can't solve human problems. Even worse, this is warping an entire generation's career choices. 1 in 6 American medical students are avoiding radiology because of AI fears, even though demand for radiologists is still growing in many areas. Young people are being pushed into life-altering bad decisions by fear exaggerated by financial capital. Third wave, the sunk costs we all pay forever. The third wave hits everyone's daily expenses directly. All the sunk costs poured into physical infrastructure during the bubble will ultimately be paid by taxpayers. America is undergoing a new land grab, turning farmland into data centers. More than 5,400 data centers across the country consume 10% of all electricity. Residential electricity prices have risen an average of 36% over the past 5 years, and over 50% in Texas and California. Largely because data centers are hoarding power. When the bubble bursts, these data centers will turn from growth engines into white elephants, with their valuations plummeting 30–45%. But the grid investments have already been made, and the costs are already baked into every household's electricity bill. Even if every AI company goes out of business, your electricity bill won't go down for the next decade.
What about the rest of the world, Europe, China, developing countries?
Europe will suffer the most, caught in a double bind. It has no domestic AI giants to offset the US stock market crash, and it holds massive exposure to US tech stocks and bonds. On top of that, the EU AI Act has drastically increased compliance costs, and AI is only expected to boost European productivity by 1%. After the bubble bursts, Europe will have no growth engine, and no fiscal space to stimulate the economy, trapping it in long-term stagnation. Developing countries are the most vulnerable. A global recession will trigger a flight to safe haven assets. Emerging markets will face capital flight, currency devaluation, and debt crises. And countries with high external debt could collapse entirely. China's position is more complicated. Its A-share AI sector has low correlation with US markets, so the direct impact will be limited. And it has already developed an asymmetric competitive path. But as the core of the global supply chain, its exports will suffer from the US recession. However, as US giants are forced to retreat, the global redistribution of talent and market share will also create a window of opportunity for China.
After all this, what can an ordinary American, middle-class person do right now? Give us your most practical advice.
5 pieces of advice, ranked by urgency. You can start doing all of them today. First, immediately reduce your personal leverage, most important. Never borrow money to buy a house, invest in stocks, or put money into any high-risk asset during a bubble. Save 6–12 months of emergency funds in a high-yield savings account. This isn't pessimism, it's basic risk management. Second, rebalance your portfolio. If tech stocks make up more than 50% of your 401k or IRA, gradually reduce that to below 30%. Add broad market index funds, short-term treasuries, and gold. Don't sell all your tech stocks, but absolutely never go all in. Third, distinguish between storytelling companies and profitable companies. Whether you are investing or looking for a job, stay away from companies that only talk about future growth and never mention profits or cash flow. The companies that survive cycles have real customers and real moats. Fourth, don't buy into the AI hype with your career. If you work in a white-collar job that's easily replaceable, don't bet all your skills on AI. Learn to use AI to make yourself more efficient, but don't gamble your entire career on becoming an AI expert. AI is a tool, not a religion. Fifth, maintain a healthy information diet. All the AI will replace everything, and AI will solve everything headlines you see are probably coming from the exact same people who need to keep their valuations high. Think independently, read the footnotes in earnings reports, look at depreciation policies and debt structures, and don't let clickbait lead you around.
Finally, any last words for our listeners?
Bubbles burst. That's a fact of financial history, not a prediction. But technological progress never stops. The British railway bubble left us with a national rail network. The internet bubble left us with fiber optics and e-commerce. When the AI bubble bursts, it will leave us with cheap computing power, mature engineering capabilities, and truly valuable applications. The difference is, some people will find out they were swimming naked when the tide goes out. And some people already have their life jackets on. The key in 2026 isn't predicting exactly when the bubble will burst. It's making sure that when it does, you still have a job, you still have savings, and you still have choices. Remember, the music always stops. Our job is to make sure we are already sitting in a chair when it does.
Have you changed jobs or adjusted your investment portfolio because of AI anxiety in the past year? Let us know in the comments. If this episode helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. In our next episode, we'll talk about which industries will become the new investment hotspots after the AI bubble bursts and teach you how to spot opportunities in a crisis. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next